Fox 61, Connecticut's news station, starts with a weather impact alert.
It is a rainy and windy night across the state. Good evening and thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. We're under weather impact alert tonight. The entire state getting rain right now.
We have live team coverage tracking all the latest conditions across the state. But first, let's send it over to Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank. Rach?
The rain is ongoing. Everybody's seeing moderate rain across the state. Although I do have to tell you, it looks like the worst of the winds in this squall line here with lots of lightning showing up just missed us, so that may end up helping us with the outage risk. Here's the deal. The rain ending between 11 to 1 a.m. I think the worst winds from now through about 10 p.m., although it will remain breezy as we head through the remainder of the night. And we're talking about a grand total of about 2 to 3 inches of rain. That could result in some poor drainage issues as you're out and about, so leave yourself some extra time. And a few outages are possible across the state, although luckily it looks like we may end up dodging a bullet with the worst of the wind missing us just to the east. We've got areas of rain. It is heavy in some parts of the state. You'll see that right now. Putnam down through Killingly and Plainfield dealing with some very heavy rain. And that's the case here for Mystic and Stonington. And again, with this rain coming down over a short period of time, that could overwhelm some storm drains. So we'll be watching for some minor poor drainage flooding possible with this, as we still have plenty of rain to get through. And even on the backside of this system, we could end as a few snowflakes as it's all moving away. Here's a look at current wind gusts right now between 25 and 35 miles an hour. Those winds out of the south, and then the winds will switch direction after the front passes through. Right now, we're looking at temperatures that are way above average for this time of year. It feels weird. We're in the 50s to right around 60 degrees, and looking at the future radar, again, you're seeing it's still raining, varying intensities through the news at 10, but as we head towards and after 11 o'clock, this will all come to an end, and it will be a breezy day tomorrow, but much cooler temperatures. Meantime, it's feeling more like summer humidity or spring humidity right now. For more on that, we head to meteorologist Deshawn Robinson. Hi, Deshawn.
Hi, Rachel. Yes, you are right. It is very humid out there, and we're seeing dew points in the 50s to the lower 60s across much of our region. And these dew points are very equivalent to what we normally see during the summertime period. And again, as this cold front is still to our east, we're seeing a deep southerly flow that is pushing all that tropical juice into our region. And that is why there is the potential for some heavy rain and some locally stronger thunderstorms. I know thunderstorms in December. But as this cold front slides to the east, colder and drier air will filter in for later tonight and tomorrow. Back to you guys.
All right, Deshawn, thank you. Well, that wind and rain picking up right now just in time for the evening commute.
Yeah, let's check in with Fox 61's Stefan Reels. He's live in the storm tracker in Clinton. So what are the conditions like out there right now for you, Stefan?
Well, for the most part, Brent and Sarah, things are still holding up pretty good. A lot of clear roads, but we just drove through a big puddle. Very unexpected and kind of shocking. I'm going to go turn the camera around real quick on our storm tracker. But that just kind of like is just a speaking to the testament of if there is somewhere for this water to pool up, it will. We just drove through a pretty big puddle. We were at the premium outlets in Clinton just a little while ago, and they were really... there was going to be no way you're going to be keeping your socks warm. I'm sorry to disappoint all of the shoppers today, but if you're hoping to be dry, probably not going to be your best friend today, because these roads are going to be completely covered in water at the moment. But still relatively safe driving conditions, all things considered. We're not really running into too much flooding. West Haven, we haven't really heard anything since then. Even those new floodgates, they haven't had to put those in yet. So for the most part, things are going good, but it's very easy, especially as at night, which you guys just saw, to really just drive through a puddle, and that could potentially end up ruining your night, injuring yourself. We don't want that to happen. So make sure you're just very aware while you're on the road, and making sure that if someone else is doing something risky, you don't do it. We want to keep you safe. But we're going to be keeping the conditions updated, and we're on our way to New London to see how they're holding up. But for now, in Clinton, Stefan Reels, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Stefan, it's a sloppy night out there. Thanks so much. To breaking news now, the lights are coming back on for most customers in the capital city after critical portions of the downtown core were left in the dark early this morning.
Fox 61 has team coverage of the outage from its cause to its impact. We begin with Fox 61's Matt Karen for a look at what happened. Matt.
Well, behind me is where this outage all began. It's 55 Elm Street, the former state office building. The Attorney General and the Secretary of the State used to be located here. They've since moved out, and it's been under construction and will soon be transitioned into residential apartments.
Smoke billowing from a building and some type of explosions.
It was 3:30 a.m. when Hartford firefighters got the call. The chief sent a text to the mayor, who was already aware there was an issue.
I was first alerted by my 3-year-old who woke me up because his noisemaker went out this morning when we lost power.
At the height of the outage, about 9,200 Eversource customers in Hartford were in the dark. The outage impacted critical infrastructure like Hartford Hospital, the state capitol, the legislative office building, Hartford Superior Court, and the State Emergency Operations Center,
which are pretty critical to state operations. They all have backup generators and redundant systems to keep them up and running. So as designed, everything worked.
The state's offices were back up and running with only a few IT snafus.
Hitting the reset button on some things, repowering, rebooting some things, it seems to be the fix.
Emergency crews traced the problem to 55 Elm Street.
It's a former state office building. The Attorney General and Secretary of State were there. Their offices were there. It's turning into residential. So there's been a lot of work that's being done on that building right now. There's nobody living in it yet, but they were hoping to have units up within a matter of months.
In a statement, Eversource said it appears there was an issue with customer-owned underground electric equipment on Elm Street, which damaged our equipment. Firefighters say it was a fire inside an underground electrical vault, which contains a large transformer. Crews had to wait until Eversource cut power before putting the flames out.
Because of the nature of PCBs, typically within these types of transformers, it is an underground vault, limited visibility. We had to make sure that the power was disconnected, so we waited for Eversource to come kind of disconnect the power so we can go in. We use dry chemicals just to extinguish what visible flame that we saw at the time.
Fox 61 was there as Hartford fire crews were briefly called back to the scene mid-morning for what turned out to be a smoldering pile of mulch that reignited. And although it wasn't exactly specified what caused the explosion and the outage, the fire department told me Eversource had to cut off and isolate power here at 55 Elm Street from the rest of the grid before they could re-energize the lines and bring power back online. They say everybody is working together to make sure this doesn't happen again in other parts of the city. Reporting in Hartford, Matt Karen, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, thank you, Matt. The power outage also impacted operations at essential businesses like Hartford Hospital. The power went out there for hours and hospital staff had to act quickly to keep things running. Fox 61's Julia LeBlanc has more from Hartford.
The theme here at Hartford Hospital seems to be no power, no problem. Though some operations were impacted here, the staff says they did what they needed to do to keep things running.
I was surprised when I first came to work.
An early morning underground electrical fire traced back to Elm Street in the capital city impacted operations right here at Hartford Hospital.
I work in the OR room. I'm in the surgery room. I help the patients onto their bed and make sure their room is clean.
Shaquille Ricketts says after the power went out at around 4 a.m., the generator kicked in and kept most of the lights on. But some parts of the hospital were still in the dark. He says he and his coworkers sat on standby for hours, waiting to get back to work.
The patients are all right. Where the patients are, they have electricity, they have light. It's just where we are, like our work spots, we don't have any lights.
Still, essential operations inside the hospital continued as they worked to keep patients and hospital staff safe. The Hartford Healthcare Communications team sent out a statement during the outage, saying it impacted both feeders running to their business. They went on to say, quote, while most essential clinical functions are running, there are limitations like non-functioning elevators, garage gates, and public spaces. We continue to assess the situation. Hospital operations are currently operating normally and care to our patients is not affected.
An impact is an impact to me. Everything counts, so.
Caregiver Alexis Asbury showed up to the hospital for work on Wednesday morning after the outage came about.
All I was thinking about, I hope the patients are okay, because there's a lot of people that need like life support and all that, like the machines.
And though some employees were surprised at how quickly one event can affect their jobs, they knew they had to stick it out.
They can't believe what's happening, but we're okay though. It's all right.
Now, hospital staff members say any patient who may have had a surgery that needed to be rescheduled was contacted. We are in Hartford. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
You'll find more coverage of this outage on our free Fox 61 News app. Just use the QR code right there on your screen to download the app or go to fox61.com. And coming up at 6:30, we're hearing how the outage impacted renters and businesses in the capital city. Well, new tonight, students on a school bus were caught in a dangerous situation in Higganum when live wires came crashing down on their bus.
It happened on Maple Avenue West around 4 o'clock. The road was closed but has since reopened. No injuries have been reported.